Did you see that both of Drew Jenkins' baby mamas showed up in court to testify against him today? Sorry, the pretrial hearing, not the court. Court is actually tomorrow. So Deshaun's mom, Desiree, has been trying to take Drew to court for so long, and they finally go tomorrow. And you know this man doesn't care at all because he didn't even bother to go get a collared shirt from Walmart or a Goodwill. He literally showed up in the same attire that we see him in every time he's in Stephanie's videos. The judge even had to tell him to take his hood off. So Desiree got to go up and speak against why he has been withholding Deshaun for 3 years. Not only that, but Anita, the baby mama of his oldest child that he does not pay child support or see, also went up to speak and present evidence against Drew for basically being a DB dad. They're saying that Drew is probably not even going to show up to court tomorrow because he hasn't done anything that he's needed to do to retain custody of Deshaun. He had to do mediation, he had to do parenting classes, he hasn't done any of it.
As y'all know, Desiree has been fighting to get custody or at least visitation of her son. And just as much as everybody wants it, it's really not that easy and it's not that quick to get. But things are looking up because she does have visitation. So visitation was granted to Desiree. She can see Deshaun every week. And the judge has asked Drew to tell Stephanie to stop talking about Desiree, to stop talking about Deshaun, stop posting Deshaun, and stop talking about the whole situation at hand, period.
Drew Jenkins is not going to lose custody. A lot of people are saying that he is, and it's just clout, clickbait material. I wholeheartedly believe that they're going to do 50-50. I think Deshaun has been too long with Drew and Stephanie Thompson. I think they're going to let his mom take him for visits every now and again. The transition's not going to be instant. It's not going to be like he's going to court and they're going to say, give me the child. Like, it's not like movies. It's going to be slow. They're going to try to acclimate, I think, in my opinion.
So here we are, the moment that's been 3 years in the making. Desiree finally facing court to get her son Deshaun back. This isn't just another TikTok mom drama. This is a real story about a mother who's been fighting tooth and nail just to see her child again. And it's all exploded in court this week. Let's break it all down. The custody battle, the court drama, the shady behavior from Drew and Stephanie, and how it all ended for now. Desiree hasn't seen her son in over 3 whole years. And the reason, Stephanie Jenkins, the TikTok mom who stepped into Drew's life and turned everything upside down. The moment she came in, it was like Desiree vanished from her son's world. Let's rewind a bit. After Desiree and Drew broke up, life was tough for Desiree. She didn't have a steady place to stay. Meanwhile, Drew had a roof over his head. So they made a simple agreement, nothing legal, just Deshaun while Desiree got back on her feet. But this was never meant to be permanent. The whole idea was that Desiree would keep visiting her son while she got things in order. But that's not what happened. Instead, everything went silent. Desiree's calls were ignored, her texts were never answered, and those visits, they just stopped. It wasn't gradual. Flipped a switch. One day she was seeing her child, and the next day nothing. And guess when all that started? Right when Stephanie showed up. From the moment on, it felt like Stephanie took control of everything, including Desiree's connection to her own son. Deshaun wasn't just kept away physically, he was emotionally cut off too. And what's worse? There was never any explanation, no legal papers, no proper reason, just pure silence. Desiree didn't give up though. She kept trying, but it was like banging on a locked door that no one wanted to open. For 3 years, she was left in the dark, wondering how her son was doing, if he was okay, and if he even remembered her face. And it all traces back to when Stephanie Jenkins stepped into the picture and made herself the gatekeeper of Deshaun's life. When Desiree finally filed for custody, the court made it clear this wasn't going to be based on just what people said. They wanted to see action, so they gave both parents an order and go to mediation. The point was to help them learn how to work together for Deshaun's sake, reduce the drama, and figure out who was really willing to show up for this child. Desiree didn't play around. She took it seriously from day one. She went to every parenting class without skipping a single one. She listened, learned, and took notes, and really made the effort to grow, not just as a mom, but as someone who was ready to give her son a better future. It wasn't just for court, it was for Deshaun. Now Drew. That man didn't show his face at a single session, not even one, no parenting classes, no mediation, nothing. He didn't even explain himself either. He just ignored it all. Kid's future was just a suggestion. And that wasn't a small mistake. It was a big deal, a huge red flag. Because when a parent won't even try to learn how to co-parent or build a healthier space for their child, that says a lot. The court saw it. And trust me, they remembered. It came back around. and it hit him hard later on. The pre-trial wasn't even supposed to be dramatic, but of course, it turned into a whole scene. Drew showed up completely alone. Stephanie wasn't allowed in, directly involved in the case, and any approved witnesses could be in the courtroom. No, Stephanie was probably pacing around that one-room motel, teeming, mad that she couldn't be there to insert herself like she always does. Things were tense. Alita, Drew's other baby mama, was there, not to support him but to testify against him. She showed up for Desiree as a key witness, and what she brought wasn't light. She had 17 documents, yes, 17, all admitted into evidence by the judge. These weren't random screenshots or vague texts either. They were real documented proof showing Drew's long history of being absent, irresponsible, and flat out unfit to be a consistent parent. When it was Drew's turn to cross-examine her, the man couldn't even lift his head. He sat there, staring at the table, saying nothing, not one question, not even a single word in his defense, just silence. And before any of that even started, the judge had to take him right out the gate, looking like he was headed, hoodie pulled up, hat on, just straight up disrespectful. The same dingy hoodie he always wears in Stephanie's videos.
Did you see that both of Drew Jenkins' baby mamas showed up in court to testify against him today? Sorry, the pretrial hearing, not the court. Court is actually tomorrow. So Deshawn's mom, Desiree, has been trying to take Drew to court for so long, and they finally go tomorrow. And you know this man doesn't care at all because he didn't even bother to go get a collared shirt from Walmart or a Goodwill. He literally showed up in the same attire that we see him in every time he's in Stephanie's videos. The judge even had to tell him to take his hood off. So Desiree got to go up and speak against why he has been withholding Deshawn for 3 years. Not only that, but Anita, the baby mama of his oldest child that he does not pay child support or see, also went up to speak and present evidence against Drew for basically being a DB dad. They're saying that Drew is probably not even going to show up to court tomorrow because he hasn't done anything that he's needed to do to retain custody of Deshawn. He had to do mediation, he had to do parenting classes, he hasn't done any of it. And you already know Miss Stephanie is pissed because she thinks that the two baby mamas are out to destroy their perfect family. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because I love that. I love when two women can put their differences aside. I mean, he is a DB dad, so there's nothing to fight over. The fact that they can come together and try to get Desiree some justice and to get her son back because she does have a room waiting for him to live in is awesome. And I do hope that Deshawn gets to go live with his mom, even though I know that Stephanie is probably putting shit in his head about his mom being bad and about not wanting to go live with his mom. I just know that she's doing it.
But the judge wasn't here for the clown show. He made Drew take it off before proceeding could begin. All moments said a lot. It was like the courtroom version of Get It Together. It wasn't already enough. Stephanie just had to add fuel to the fire. While Drew was still in court trying to keep himself together, Stephanie hopped on live like it was a reality show audition. She sat there with her camera angled just right, saying she wished he could have been in the courtroom with Drew. According to her, it was like Drew was getting gagged up on, her teaming up on him as if it was a WWE custody case about a 9-year-old boy.
For those of you that are subscribed, there's not going to be a live this morning. I'm going to keep my phone available just in case Drew needs to get a hold of me. Because y'all know, you probably know where he's at this morning. Next time the night, tonight, we decided to buddy up on him. And Drew's there by himself. I can't be there with my man. They throw ears on me, so I'm not trying to be too obvious about what I'm talking about. But I have to say your prayers. I have faith that God will let the right person win in this situation. It's not even about winning, it's about making sure what's best for the kids happens. And prior to us going live, there was no question of who was right for the kids. So let's just pray that God shut the mouth and shut officially. Right? I'm going to get into this again. It's not sitting right that I can't be there with my man. But if all men have it by themselves in that situation, it's mine. He's got this. I just gotta...
Alita wasn't about to let that narrative slide. She responded with her own life. And let's just say, it was calm but sharp. Alita straight up asked Stephanie, what were you going to do if you were there? What exactly would you have done? Because let's be honest, even Drew sat there in court like a statue. He didn't speak. He didn't defend himself. He didn't even ask a single question. So what was Stephanie with her Facebook fingers and motor Wi-Fi fix? Lawyer or defending her man?
Let's talk about it. Because I want to know, what were you going to do if he was there at the courthouse? I want to know, what were you going to say to me and Desiree? You weren't going to say anything, just like him. Scary. Had his head down the whole time. Especially when I went on the stand. You pray to God that they're going to, God uses my mouth. And you want to say we buddy up. Yeah, I'm in her corner. I'm in her corner. I'm going to be in Desiree's corner. Are you mad? Are you mad? Because who did you think was going to be in Andrew's corner? Not his mama. Not his sisters. Since he only wants to claim one, he has 2 sisters. What were you going to say? What were you going to do? Nothing. Just like he wasn't going to do nothing. But sit there and hang his head low in shame. Couldn't even look at me or Desiree. Especially when I testified.
This wasn't even about Drew anymore. This was about Deshaun, a little boy who did need his name being dragged through messy TikTok lives. Not cloud chasing stepmothers, playing the victim, but instead of focusing on the kid, Stephanie centered herself once again. She made it about what she would have done, what she couldn't say. Left out. Alita's question hits the nail on the head. If Joe had nothing to say in that courtroom, not one word in his own defense, what did Stephanie think she was going to contribute? A dramatic eye roll? A status update? Because from what we've seen, all Stephanie ever adds is noise. Loud, pointless noise. Backfired. Stephanie wasn't done. To her Facebook subscribers with this post. Prayers for my man, he's in court now and I can't be there to support him. Deshaun has voiced he wants nothing to do with his biological mother. That needs to be respected. Let's really stop and think about that. Deshaun is 9 years old, a child, and he hasn't seen his mom in 3 whole years. That's not just distance, that's disconnection. He may say he doesn't want his mom right now, but can we honestly say that's his own thought? Or is it what he's been fed day after day by the people keeping him away from her? This isn't just a casual comment, it's deep. It shows how much influence Drew and Stephanie have had over him. To the point that he doesn't even know what a real bond with his mother feels like anymore. Of course, he feels closer to the people he sees every day, but that doesn't mean his mother is unworthy. It doesn't mean he wouldn't want a relationship with her if given a chance. What Stephanie posted was emotional manipulation, plain and simple. Alienation playing out in real time and publicly. Deshaun heal and grow with both parents. They're pushing this one-sided idea that he wants nothing to do with his mom. That kind of thinking isn't just harmful, it's dangerous. Form his own relationship with his mother without pressure or planted ideas. And that's exactly why the court had to step in. Because children don't always know what's best for them, and that's not their job. That's why adults have to do better. That's why courts exist. The night before the final ruling, Drew did something that honestly crossed a line. He went live on social media with Deshaun right there in the background. While the boy was in full view, Drew started loudly talking about the case, making claims that Deshaun didn't want to live with anyone else but the people he was with now. He said Deshaun only wanted to stay with his siblings. Deshaun was old enough to choose where he wanted to live. Poor choice. It was completely inappropriate. And as a prop in a legal fight, putting him right in the middle of a conversation he would have been protected from in front of Deshaun wasn't just careless. It was a form of emotional manipulation. It was trying to influence a child's thinking and feelings, all for public sympathy and legal leverage.
I hate to talk about him, but I'm gonna talk about him. Drew Jenkins. I stumbled across, you need to go watch this video of his live where he spends all this time talking about Deshaun and his mother. And I guess they just went to court. I had missed a few chapters, but I guess they just recently went to court, and Arlita and Desiree. See, I'm on the side of free Deshaun because he doesn't get to know his mother, because this waste, if you go watch that video, he sat there talking in front of Deshaun about it's manipulation. They're manipulating a 9-year-old into not wanting anything to do with his mother. And I guess they went to court. Stephanie's bum ass. Of course his exes Arlita and Desiree are just jealous of us living in a motel with 5 kids. And side note, where did her little black accent come from? Because I listened to homeboy right here, he don't sound anything like that. But I guess he went to court looking like this. The judge had to hit him with the, "Sir, take your hoodie off." Not brownie points in a courtroom, I'll tell you that. Stephanie couldn't be there unless she was called as a witness, and she wasn't. They said, "Girl, stay the fuck home." And this man the judge took 17 pieces of evidence, Desiree, with the help of Arlita,
And she wants to know what's the reason as to why a 9-year-old boy cannot see his mother, but y'all got him homeless laying in dirt all day. And it pisses me off. I feel like she just taunts Desiree. Like, we have your son. And good. I'm glad they're being strategic.
If Desiree had been watching that live, she could have easily clipped it and used it in court as solid proof. Just ignoring parenting boundaries, he was actively brainwashing their child, painting Desiree as the enemy, and doing it all publicly. It was parent alienation in plain sight, and anyone watching could see just how damaging that moment really was. Finally, the courtroom drama reached its climax, and everyone held their breath as the judge delivered the decision. Despite everything stacked against Drew, skipping all his parenting classes, refusing mediation, admitting that he had no job, and depending fully on Stephanie to survive, the judge still didn't remove Deshawn from that environment right away. Why? Because Deshawn had already spent 3 years living in that same place, and the court didn't want to cause more emotional harm by suddenly yanking him into a completely new setting.
Court update on Drew Jenkins and Deshawn. The judge doesn't want to just pick him up, uproot him, and put him with his mother right now, which most judges don't want to do that because they look at it like it's uprooting and they need a slow process to get to know the parent again. That way it's not like traumatic on the child. Deshawn is not supposed to be in any videos, and Stephanie is not supposed to talk about the mother around Deshawn whatsoever if it's bad. We shall see how that goes. She does have a visit set up with Deshawn, and if it goes well, they could even have a sleepover, which is a great thing. It not being a supervised visit to me is like the best thing because that is like a positive and could show that she definitely could end up with custody. Supposedly Drew was talking in circles, was not being very compliant, even got to the point where he was like, I've reached my limit, I need to get out of here, which to me is like typical addict behavior. Real agitated. A bunch of excuses were made to the point where they don't even know if he will actually comply with the visit that is supposed to be set up between Deshawn and his mom. His mother's going to write Deshawn a letter to like introduce the things that they will be doing.
But this wasn't a win for Drew, not even close. Powerful decisions that made it clear things were going to change, slowly but surely. The court ruled. Desiree is granted unsupervised visitation every weekend. That means she can spend time with Deshawn alone, no supervisions, no third party, just her and her son. Drew is legally required to comply with this order. If he refuses, ignores her calls, or blocks her from seeing Deshawn, he will be held up in contempt of court, which could lead to serious consequences like fines or even jail time.
As y'all know, Desiree has been fighting to get custody or at least visitation of her son. And just as much as everybody wants it, it's really not that easy and it's not that quick to get. But things are looking up because she does have visitation. So visitation was granted to Desiree. She can see Deshawn every week. And the judge has asked Drew to tell Stephanie to stop talking about Desiree, to stop talking about Deshawn, stop posting Deshawn, and stop talking about the whole situation at hand, period. And I know Stephanie is absolutely crashing out right now. Now, they do go back to court in 5.5 weeks, so they're not done yet. Let's say it together. Desiree will get custody of Deshawn. And I will have Desiree's tag up here so that y'all can go and support her and give her so much love because she is going to need it.
Stephanie is now banned by court order from ever speaking about Desiree or Deshawn, both online and in real life. Them on TikTok, Facebook, or any platform. This wasn't just a warning, it was put in official court documents, and if she breaks this rule, it could come back to haunt Drew in the next court session. A new court hearing has been scheduled for July, and this is one will be about full custody. That means the court will re-evaluate everything and possibly make a permanent decision about who Deshawn will live with going forward. At these weekly visits, even though they are just 2 hours at first, each Desiree needs to fully reconnect with her son. If Deshawn starts rebuilding that bond, trusts her, and feels safe again, the judge could eventually award her full custody. So yes, Desiree didn't get everything at once, but this is far from a loss. This was the start of her finally getting her son back, one step at a time. The judge wasn't fooled, not even for a second, when Drew asked directly about his financial situation. He couldn't dodge it anymore. He finally admitted in front of everyone he didn't have a job, no steady income, no incoming, nothing, father. So, how was he supporting Deshawn? Drew hesitated, then gave the answer everyone in that courtroom already knew. Stephanie pays for everything, that's right. The same Stephanie who wasn't even supposed to be part of the case. And the moment those words left his mouth, the courtroom went silent. Not out of shock, but confirmation. What Desiree and her team had been saying. Drew wasn't holding it down. He was leaning on someone else entirely. But here's the kicker. Since Drew and Stephanie aren't legally married, her money doesn't count. The court doesn't recognize her income as support for Deshaun, so not only was Drew jobless, but legally speaking, he had no means to provide for his son. This wasn't just bad optics, it was bad parenting, and the court saw it for exactly what it was. And let's not forget, Stephanie had already been warned twice to stay out of it. Not to talk about Deshaun, not to talk about Desiree, not to post about the case. The judge made it crystal clear. Show a full-on court order. If she so much as whispers about it again on Facebook or TikTok, it could blow back hard. And this time, it wouldn't just hurt her, it would hurt Drew's chances too. For now, Deshaun is still living with Drew, but this isn't the end of the road. To leave the door open for change, it's a process now. Low but holds real hope. Desiree has finally been given the chance to reconnect with her son. Starting this weekend, she gets unsupervised visitation every week now, but it's something. And with each visit, there is a possibility it could grow. Longer visits, maybe overnight stays, and eventually, if all goes well, full custody. It's a small beginning, but it's a powerful one. In July is said to be a game changer. That's when the judge will revisit the custody matter. Deshaun should be permanently placed with his mom. By then, the court expects to see how the bond is rebuilding, how Deshaun responds to his mom, and whether Drew continues to comply. And as for Stephanie, she's officially been ordered to stay silent. No more lives, no more Facebook rants, no more using Deshaun as part of her online drama or content. Her voice has been removed from the conversation, not just for show, but for Deshaun's protection. This isn't just a reset for Desiree, it's a clear message. The court is watching, and the real parent will always be the one who puts in the work, shows up, and puts the child first. They've been avoided. If Drew had just co-parented, if Stephanie hadn't inserted herself, if Desiree had been given a chance sooner. But finally, the truth is out. And Desiree is getting her chance, not because of TikTok, not because of cloud, but because she showed up, took the classes, did the work, and the court recognized that. This isn't just a win for her, it's a reminder that the truth does come to light. Should Deshaun have gone back immediately? Let us know. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more breakdowns like this. The next court hearing is coming and will be right here. Stay tuned.